What was the moment over the past year where you made the decision that the path forward was expansion? And I'm sure there were a few different paths. I guess what were the paths you could have gone down, and when did you decide, expansion and going after these other schools was the path forward?
Yeah, Adam, I would say it happened a lot faster than what any of us expected, right? I think, we transitioned from kind of the traditional Pac-12 and completed all of our competition at the end of June. And I think everybody on my team thought we had some time to kind of figure it all out. And certainly we were mapping out all those scenarios. Like, was there a pathway in another conference? Yeah. There were lots of talks about mergers with other conferences, and there were a lot of different considerations. And at the end of the day, the path to rebuild the Pac-12, that opportunity came about quicker than I think we would have thought. Yeah. And to me, it was all rooted in the fact that it became blatantly clear that the Pac-12 brand really meant something, and that our best opportunity to meet the competitive aspirations for Oregon State and Washington State, and to continue to provide the student-athlete experience that we aspire to, that we could control our own destiny more if we rebuilt the Pac-12. Yeah. And at that time, we had, the top 5 schools from the Mountain West, the most competitive schools in the Mountain West, the top brands in the Mountain West, coupled with, arguably one of the most consistent elite basketball brands in the country in Gonzaga. Yeah. And when we started to get that level of interest, it became really obvious that the rebuild was the best path forward. Yeah.
Probably the biggest audience that watches this podcast is like young, aspiring, leaders in sports business that want to be in these shoes someday. So when I ask this question, I'm curious, what does the actual deal making look like when you are trying to expand the conference? When you're talking to Utah State and Colorado State and Boise State, and what's the behind the scenes, whatever you can share, of how that actually goes down? Do you call the president of the school? What's that look like?
It's a great question, Adam, and I will say, I've been in this business. This is my 36th year working in Division I college athletics. Yeah. There's no roadmap for what we went through, right? There just isn't. And when you look at all the conference realignment that's happened recently, even though it's been going on for decades, there's just no roadmap for it. And it's always a little bit different depending on the situation. In this particular case, we had some really trusted, great consultants that helped us from a data analysis perspective to kind of look at the metrics and figure out what the best path forward was. There are a lot of existing relationships. Yeah. I think my 36 years in this industry really helped in terms of existing relationships with presidents, existing relationships with athletic directors. So it made those conversations behind the scenes a lot easier because there was already a level of trust and credibility there that made some of those discussions about the rebuild and about the move a lot easier.